Have you ever sat down to work and felt an immediate resistance in your body? Not boredom, not distraction, more like, nope, not this. That reaction isn't laziness. It's your nervous system deciding that starting this work doesn't feel safe. In this video, I'm going to show you what it actually means when work stops feeling safe, why this happens most around important tasks, and how understanding this changes procrastination, overwhelm, and burnout completely. If work has started to feel heavier, harder, or more avoidable than it used to, this will explain why. When I say unsafe, I don't mean dangerous. I mean emotionally risky, cognitively overloaded, identity threatening, or pressure laden. Your nervous system isn't asking, is this important? It's asking, can we handle what this might trigger? And if the answer feels uncertain, resistance shows up. Work rarely stops feeling safe overnight. It usually happens slowly through rising expectations, unresolved pressure, repeated self-criticism, chronic urgency, and too many open loops. At first you push through, then starting takes more effort, then avoidance starts creeping in, not because you've changed, but because the conditions have. Here's the shift most people miss. At some point, work stops being, I'm exploring something, and becomes, I need to get this right, or I can't afford to mess this up, or this says something about me. That's when safety drops, because pressure and safety don't coexist well. When safety drops, your brain adapts, it narrows focus, it scans for threat, it looks for escape routes. It's not doing this consciously, it's doing this automatically. This is why thinking gets harder, clarity disappears, and procrastination increases. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much under pressure. This shows up most around work that matters, because meaningful work carries high stakes, uncertainty, and weight on your identity. Low stakes tasks don't threaten you. High stakes ones do. So your nervous system responds earlier and more strongly. That's why emails get delayed, creative work gets avoided, big projects feel impossible to start. Most people respond to this by pushing. They apply discipline, urgency, self-talk. But force tells the nervous system this is serious. Pay attention, which increases activation, which reduces safety further. This is how burnout starts, not with laziness, but with sustained self-override. Once avoidance appears, guilt follows, and guilt adds pressure. Now the work doesn't just carry the task itself, it carries yesterday's delay, self-judgment, and fear of repetition. This compounds that lack of safety. Here's the reframe that changes everything. When work stops feeling safe, your system is protecting you, not sabotaging you. Protection looks like avoidance, distraction, overthinking, planning instead of starting. These are not character flaws, they're nervous system strategies. When someone tells you to just start, it assumes safety, but starting is the very thing your system is resisting. So forcing it creates more stress, more resistance, more stop-start cycles. Safety must come before initiation, always. Safety returns when pressure drops, scope shrinks, expectations soften, and permission replaces demand. This is why small, low-stakes entry points actually work, not because they trick you, but because they tell your system this is manageable. When you reduce a task enough, threat drops, thinking opens, resistance softens. You're no longer asking, can I do all of this? You're asking, can I touch this safely? That's a very different question. You can't think your way back into safety. Safety is felt. That's why pauses help, breathing helps, slowing down helps. Not because they're relaxing, but because they restore regulation. Productivity isn't about output, it's about conditions. When work feels safe, momentum builds, clarity returns, trust rebuilds. When it doesn't, no amount of discipline will save you. If work has felt unsafe lately, pause. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not unmotivated. Your system is responding to pressure, and it's doing it the only way it knows how. If work feels heavy and difficult right now, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Instead, ask what pressure has made this unsafe. That question alone changes everything. If this video helped you understand why work can suddenly feel unsafe, here's where to go next. First, Subscribe to the channel if you want calm, grounded explanations of procrastination, overwhelm, and momentum without hustle or shame. Second, watch this next video, Why Clarity Disappears Under Pressure. It explains what pressure does to your thinking once safety drops. Third, I've linked the full Pressure, Stress and the Nervous System playlist on screen now. That series shows how pressure builds and how to work with your system instead of fighting it. And if you want a structured way to apply all of this, the Momentum Reset method is linked in the description. You don't need to force yourself back into work. You need to work to feel safe again.